My friends. Hey, hello, welcome. I'm Kat Miller, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to attract clients with an effective content strategy. If you want a simple and effective content strategy that shows you exactly what to do, it's easy to execute, you know exactly what you're doing, you don't have to have like a degree in copywriting, you don't have to spend 12 hours a day writing content. You want something that's actually going to make a real impact in your business and not just produce content for content's sake. There's a lot of people I see that are posting content just for content's sake, and wondering with whether it will even work. I see this a lot. I'm not sure about you, but I see content that I think, I'm not sure how that fits in. I'm not sure what's really happening here or what the purpose of that post is. It's kind of hanging there on its own, and it doesn't seem to have a flow or a journey that they're kind of taking someone on. And so I'm going to go through 5 different things that you can put into your content strategy that's ultimately going to give you results so that you can continue to get paid clients from your content, and make sure that your content actually has a purpose, that you know where it fits in your overarching strategy, that it's not just random posts and pieces all over the place. And when I was starting out writing content, I think about 10 years ago, when Facebook really came out and when I had my first website, I didn't know at all what I was doing. I would just kind of show up and throw up, as they say, and I would just share anything. I would just learn something, teach it, learn it, teach it. And I just didn't have a content strategy. And over the years, I've realized that without having that client journey of, okay, these are the steps that people need to go through, and this is the job of this content piece and this content piece, and actually creating it into a plan so I know what I'm doing, then it takes that feeling of just randomness away. That feeling where you think, oh my goodness, I just have to post something because I haven't posted something today. So you try and get some inspiration, you maybe have a search around and try and get some ideas from other people, rather than it actually being planned out. And I'm not saying everything has to be planned. It's really nice to have some spontaneous content, and that's what I love using stories and using kind of lifestyle posts for. But you also want to make sure that you have this solid bulk of your content, that it's doing its job of attracting clients with your content. And an effective strategy has a few ingredients which I'm going to share with you in this video. So one of the biggest downfalls that I do see in people's content is that their strategy is not working and they're frustrated. And when I look at their content, I can see why, because so much is actually missing. They're not influencing people through their content. They're not shifting people's perspectives. They're not actually using their content to get that person to take the next step in the journey. And obviously successful content needs to be valuable to your audience. It needs to give great value. It needs to answer the questions that they have in their mind, depending on the stage that they're in their journey. And that increases their likelihood of wanting to work with you. So definitely our content these days has to provide value. That is just a given. People need to get things out of it. But we also need to make sure that our content is doing its job of evoking curiosity, of showing people a different way of looking at things, a different solution to their problem. And if these elements aren't in your content strategy, you can really, like write a post, think it's amazing, and end up feeling like something's actually wrong with you. But nothing's wrong with you. You are awesome. What you're sharing, I'm sure, is awesome. But if people aren't signing up because of your content, then there's just some tweaks that we can make. So I'm going to go through these 5 important things that I recommend that you do in your client attraction content strategy to make sure it's super effective. So the first thing I recommend you do is to build your content backwards from your signature offer. I really like how Stephen Covey talks about starting with the end in mind. So he says start with the end in mind. It's one of his 7 habits of highly effective people. So if you think about the end point of your client's journey is to buy your big offer, right? Buy your package, your premium package, and hopefully you've got one. If you haven't, that's your first step. Make sure you've got a really great offer. Make sure it's irresistible. Make sure it's got all the components of a great offer. That's a whole separate training that I do. But your offer needs to have things like community, some element of coaching or consulting, some element of curriculum, for example. Once you've built that offer out and you know everything that's involved in that offer, then we can start reverse engineering it and saying, okay, in order for that person to buy that offer, what are the stages that they're going to go through? And you reverse engineer it. So you think through, okay, in order for them to buy this offer, what do people need to know before they'll buy it? What do they need to know about me or you? What do they need to know about the offer? What do they need to know about the method or the process that you use to take them through that transformation from that point A to point B? What do they need to believe? So a lot of times people aren't buying your offer because they've got beliefs that we actually need to shift through our content. That is the beauty of content, is that we can use our content to shift people's beliefs that is actually holding them back from getting their transformation. If you have an offer that transforms people, and hopefully you do, because otherwise why are we in business if we aren't transforming people, then you'll want to make sure that people what their thoughts of are along the journey. So maybe it's this maybe we need to overcome objections at all these points through our content. So our strategy, like one piece of content, is to overcome one objection or limiting belief that they might have. So for example, let's say you are selling a 3-month health coaching package. They might think, oh no, I don't need that because I'm just going to go on a diet that I got from a magazine. So one of your pieces of content might talk about how the person who wrote that diet doesn't know anything about you. It's a random stranger. They don't know your body, they don't know your lifestyle, they don't understand your own unique nutritional needs. And so you might write a post about that, about why pre-done diets don't last. And so that's one post. Another post might be about, okay, what else might they be thinking why they wouldn't sign up to my 3-month health coaching package? Oh, they might think that it's that I'm going to make them eat in a certain style that I don't like. So you do a whole post on that. So you want to think of it as that whole strategy. What do they need to think about before they get to that offer? What do they need to think about the solution? And your content needs to answer the questions they have at that subconscious level. If you think about it, when most people are surfing the internet and scrolling their phone and scrolling through social media, they often are doing it at a subconscious level in terms of what they're actually looking for. A lot of people don't really know what they're looking for. They don't have this logic of, right, I need to buy a broom today. I'm just going to go and Google how to buy a broom. You know, a lot of times people are looking at on the internet for things that they don't even know why they're looking. But everyone has multiple problems. Some of them aren't clear as, I need a broom, I'm going to Google brooms. I don't even know why I thought about broom. Actually, I do. I just swept my balcony because it was windy. But a lot of times they don't know that they're looking for you, and they don't know that they need a coach. They don't know that they need your program. So your content needs to show them how you're going to solve their problem so they'll be interested. So that's number one. Number two is to make sure that every piece of content has a purpose. A common mistake I see people making is posting without a purpose. They just post content without really thinking about why. And I've definitely done this before, and I've looked back and I've gone, why did I post that? What was the point? Why? Has anyone else done that? Just give me a yes in the comments if you've done that so I know that I'm not alone. Sometimes I've looked back on my content and gone, I didn't even think about that. And that's okay. You know, there are going to be some times where you're just posting a lifestyle shot, maybe you out walking. But if you think about it, like let's say your last 3 posts, think about the last 3 things that you posted and just ask yourself, what was the purpose? What was the purpose of those 3 posts? Was it to like get a bit of more rapport, like to show someone what your lifestyle's like? Was it to get more engagement? Was it to attract more people into your audience? Was it to overcome a belief? Was it to promote something? Maybe it was to build more connection. Maybe your posts are having great value without you really thinking about the purpose. But I want you to bring that intentionality around the purpose of your posts, because your content won't attract clients if you haven't got that intentional purpose about where each piece of content fits in your overarching strategy. And if your content doesn't have a purpose, it can't achieve that goal of attracting clients. And there are so many things you want to share with someone before they will invest money in you, right? That's why you need a strategy to make sure that you're covering all the points. Like you don't try and change every single one of someone's beliefs in one post or one blog. You don't try and tell all your stories in one post. You don't, one post has one purpose typically, and so you don't want to overload it with too many things. What I recommend is that you have one idea in that post. You might share three tips, but you have one main idea that they all hang under, like an umbrella that the tips hang under. But you want to make sure, okay, if I am doing some tips, why? What's the point of sharing those tips? Because you can share a whole lot of how-to content and people grab your tips and run with them, but you haven't evoked any emotion. You haven't evoked curiosity, which is super important and powerful in your content. So what are the purpose of your post? That's an important part of your strategy. Number 3 is to create a consistent content schedule. And if you don't have a schedule, you'll probably find that you get to the end of the week and go, oh crap, I haven't really posted much this week, or I've only posted about my walk this week, or my food, or my coffee in the sun. We haven't really done purposeful content that actually is getting a result. So a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to commit to every single week doing one main big piece of content, like one video, and then I was going to leverage that. So I do the live video, I upload it, or my assistant uploads it into YouTube, so building my YouTube channel, which actually got me an interview on a podcast just by seeing that I was consistent every single week posting. That goes up on my blog, so my blog is constantly being updated with content. And it's not about having massive reach or a really big following. Like I don't have a massive following, but people still constantly find me on Google because I'm always updating my website. So every week there's at least one piece of fresh content. And so when you've got that consistent content schedule, you know when you're going to post. Like I know when I create on a Wednesday. I call it my cave day, and I just turn my phone off. I go out in nature and think. I go for a walk, long walk. I map things out on paper and use that as my content creation day. I don't have any clients on a Wednesday. And then, so you know when you're going to create the content, and then you know when you're going to deliver the content. Like I deliver mine on a Wednesday night. I also know that that certain days I have more energy and I have more creativity. Like on a Friday afternoon, my brain isn't in this creative mode like it is on other days. So knowing your schedule, knowing when you're going to post and where you're going to post, what platforms you're going to show up to and when, and mapping it all out, that's an important part of your strategy as well. Hope this is all making sense. Hey Trish, great to have you here. You're a trooper. Seen you, this is the 3rd time this week. I love it. And number 4 is to rotate between different types of content. This is important, is that we don't just do the same type of content all the time. There's actually 5 types of content that I personally rotate between. And you might have more or less, but you want to think about, you've probably got this default style. You've probably got a default thing that you most often post, like a type of post. So whether that's something like a quote, an inspirational quote, or it might be a lifestyle shot, or it could be a how-to post where you're sharing how to do something. It could be like for example, a belief shifting post. Most of mine are belief shifting posts where I think about a belief someone currently has and then what I want them to believe instead to help them overcome their limiting beliefs in order to transform and actually get what they want. So you probably have this default way of creating content that's your comfort zone. And what I'd encourage you to do, and I need to do this more as well, is to really look at other types of content and rotate. So I talked about this on my masterclass last night. Was anyone here on the masterclass? Just give me a yes in the comments if you were here. Hey, Sina, great to have you here. I talked about this spectrum where some people are giving so much value in their content. They value, give. But they never ask. They never actually make an offer. They never invite people to work with them. And so they're really heavy on this side of the spectrum. And then other people are always, buy my stuff, come to this, download this. Even though that's giving, it's still in content world viewed as an ask, because it's an exchange. So if you're asking someone for their email, it's an exchange for your valuable downloadable, for example. So let's say you create a lead magnet, a freebie, you ask for their name and email in exchange, or you're asking for their time on a live Zoom event or a live Facebook live video, for example, like this one. So if you are always trying to sell, always promoting and never giving value, you'll find that the scales are tipped too much that way, and that will put people off. So being at one end or the other, the value, posting too much value doesn't really put people off, but it usually means you end up broke, right? Because you are just never asking for the sale. And if you don't ask for the sale, it's not just about you staying in business and you making money, but also people getting a transformation. Because we all know that unless you have close time with someone, it's really hard for you to actually get a transformation with them. Oh, thank you, Trish. Appreciate that. So make sure that you rotate between your types of content. I went into this in really a lot of detail. I dove really deep on the types and on the 5 different types. If you didn't come to the masterclass, just drop me a DM, just direct message me, or just actually write the word content in the comments. Just write the word content and I can send you something special, because I want you to be able to have access to those different types because they're really powerful. Okay, number 5 is to create a clear content journey. Create a clear content journey. This is also known as a funnel. So a journey leads your audience from one step, say a social media post, to the next step, which might be a downloadable resource where they exchange that for their email address. And then they come into your email database and they get sent an automated email that says, hey, thank you for downloading this. Here's your gift. Hey, have you joined my Facebook group? You invite them into the Facebook group. Then they start seeing more content on your Facebook group. They're now also in your email list, so you can continue to give value. Because some people don't see much on Facebook, some people don't see much on email. Different people have different preferences. So you want to make sure that there's a journey. A lot of people post these random posts on social media and they kind of just hang there. They just kind of exist in this disconnected kind of function rather than being an active part of a journey, of a funnel. Some people get very confused with funnel. Basically, a funnel is there's lots of people at the top, so people come into the top of the funnel. Some people take the next step, which might be a free downloadable in exchange for the email. Some people will then maybe take you to the next step, which could be a strategy session with you, which you can put on the thank you page of your landing page. So they come in to from your social media post or from your blog or wherever they've found you. Usually it's from social media. They take that next step down and further into the funnel, and they might go to your landing page, put their name and email address. On the thank you page, you might invite them into your strategy session. And then on the thank you page of that, you might invite them into the Facebook group. So it's kind of like cross-pollinating. So you've got all these fishing rods out in the water, if you imagine it like that, maybe LinkedIn, Instagram, Instagram stories, Instagram posts, your profiles, Facebook stories, other people's Facebook groups. So you've got all these different lead generation avenues of drawing traffic, but some people will come in those at that very high level, and then some will filter down until these ones right at the bottom become your paid clients, and then the ones right at the very bottom become your premium high paid clients. So I want you to think about your content as part of that journey. You can either think about it like a funnel coming down or like a journey going across, meaning what is the purpose of this post? Where's it leading? What's next? Because when you do those posts that just don't have a call to action, they're just kind of sitting there, we can do those, that's fine, but some of them need to have that call to action, which gives an incentive to do something after they've consumed your content, because they've still got a problem. You know, they read your post, they've still got a problem. You don't solve their whole issue through one post. So you always want to have an action item for the person at the end of your content. So for example, at the end of your blog post, you might invite them to download something that you talked about in the blog. So download a cheat sheet or a recipe book, or a shopping list, for example. Or at the end of your Facebook Live video, you might invite them to message you or download a resource or come to a Zoom event, for example. So that's number 5, is that you want your client attraction journey to be really clear through your content. Hope that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions? Just pop them in the comments box and I will answer that. So remember, email addresses are gold. People who opt in your email list are a lot warmer because they've said yes to you already. I get hundreds of people open my emails. I'd never be able to get that on social media organically. So you want to think of your content pieces as part of your whole overarching strategy. And you know, you can have the best content in the world, but it's not going to convert if people aren't clear on how you can actually solve their problem for you. So I went into this in quite a bit of detail, as well as talking about some before and after content makeover examples and how to actually structure your content in the masterclass last night. So if you missed it, just write the word content in the comments and I will direct message you and send you out something so that you can learn those essential elements that I unpacked in detail. I also really went into the different types of content and how to actually structure it. So just write the word content in the comment or just direct message me with the word content. Great to have you here. So just to recap, the most important idea that I wanted to get across here is to have a plan. Make sure that you have a plan, because that's what is going to get you clients rather than being random on social media. So I hope that helped. Great to see you here live. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching the replay, just give me a hashtag replay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Wendy. Great to see you here. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, my friends. Bye.